Saw the money and got activated. Saw that money and got activated. I saw that money and got activated.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Yeah, so we're gonna dive right into the video. In today's video, or in this video, it might take a couple days, I don't know for sure yet, we're gonna be tearing the whole front suspension out of this thing. I mean, literally everything is coming out. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Calipers are coming off, everything is coming off. We may end up just getting new calipers to begin with, because I believe we had a sticking one, and they're however old the truck is, so, you know, probably a good idea to just go ahead and replace them. So, got that. We're definitely going to be running new brake lines to the front half. Gonna tear the front suspension off. Still didn't get a chance to look up these. I kind of want to look into sending some of the bolts and stuff off to get zinc coated, just because I don't want rusty bolts on nice powder coat, and I feel like zinc coated bolts will look good. I actually watched Tommy F, and he zinc coats all of his bolts and stuff. I don't know, I guess it'd be a cool thing to do, but all this stuff's gonna come out. But first I'm gonna get these wheels off this and get it up on jack stands, and we'll go from there. So okay guys, so we got a lot of the front suspension tore down. Nothing really off besides the caliper, but got this disconnected, which we found out that there's some play in that, so that could most definitely cause some of our problems, where like you would hit the brake and it would like kind of jerk the control arm or something along those lines, because this is definitely part of the tension rod and it goes into the sway bar and stuff like that. But the issue we're having right now is the lower control arm bolt. I got it loose, but believe it or not, that's the only bolt on the entire truck, I want to say, besides the cab mount bolts, that has not been touched. For some reason over the years, I've just never had to disconnect the lower control arm completely from that point right there. So it is being extremely stubborn. I'm really hoping it's not froze into that bushing, because that bolt would really suck to have to cut out. Because it is so big in diameter. Right now I've been trying to kind of hammer it through to hopefully break it free from that bushing, but it doesn't seem like it's really moving, so I'm going to try and find the sledgehammer and see if that does the job, and if not, we may have to figure out a way to cut it out. I'm not really sure what else to do. I've tried putting the ratchet on this side of the bolt and trying to spin it. I couldn't get it to spin, although I didn't really get a chance to try very hard because all this stuff's in the way. So if anything, we might give up on getting the lower control arm out and get all the steering stuff out for now, until we can get more space in there to kind of try to spin that bolt. Maybe put some heat to it, try that. I don't know. I hate stubborn bolts like this. It's definitely one of those things that unmotivates you, because it's just like annoying to deal with. But making good progress. Of course, this is only one side. We still have a whole other side to do, but everything else is already going to be kind of loose. Like the upper control arm bolts, I've literally had out 1,000 times, and I've put 18 pounds of anti-seize on all of them. This idler arm we just replaced, so that's crazy. Look how rusty that is. That is literally a 2-month-old part. That's wild. I should have painted that. But that should come out easy. These bolts should come out easy. And then it's going to be as much as disconnecting the steering over there and just dropping this whole steering linkage out. And yeah, so we're going to try to struggle a little more with this lower control arm, see what we can do with it, and I'll catch up with you guys. Alright guys, so we got the center link, the center link and the tie rods, inners and outers, idler arm, and I believe that's everything. So that's all out. Upper control arm's out on this side, and this is what we're working with. Still have to disconnect the tension rod and drop the whole sway bar down and get the control arms out. I literally used this sledgehammer here and tried to beat that bolt out. It's just not budging, so not sure what we're gonna do with that yet. Still got to figure that out. And then but yeah, that's pretty much all the progress we've had for tonight. I'm happy with how fast everything is moving. This is only day 2. We have the whole front clip off. At least I would say 15% of the suspension is out. I was looking at this. I had talked about wanting to try to maybe replace this, just because I feel like these are thinner than they should be, but I guess that's normal. And I was also looking, it looks like it's actually integrated into the top of the spring buckets, which also is integrated into the cross members. So that's not going to be an option, most likely. My biggest thing for wanting to remove it was because there's like flaky, like paint inside here, and I really want to sand it down. It bugs the crap out of me. So I guess we'll just have to figure out a way to kind of get in there and clean that, and get in here and clean this stuff and get in all these crevices. Just because I think it looks like crap when you have all this nice, like, say I powder coat all this stuff and then you have these little cruddy parts, and I just feel like that's a half-assed way to do it, and that's not the way I want to do it. So we'll have to figure out a way to clean that. Another thing I noticed is there's probably like a pinhole in this hood stack pipe or something because it soots. Well, I guess it could just be downdraft, but everything down in here is black. This is actually like painted like a certain color, and the top of the trans is like all black from soot and stuff. So we got a lot of degreasing and cleaning to do. You gotta think all this like stuff is probably well, for a fact, I know for a fact, it's literally a whole summer of abuse. And when I say a whole summer of abuse, I mean I ran the dog crap out of this truck and parked it and didn't touch it. Literally, we did not service anything on this truck. The only issues we really had over the summer was the charging issue, which we fixed. And we did, when we first put the transmission in and the anteater and stuff, we did have some voltage issues and had some little small stuff with that. But I mean, realistically, I've literally beat the crap out of this truck, parked it, beat the crap out of this truck, parked it, didn't maintain anything, didn't change the oil, didn't do any of that. So now we're cleaning up after a summer of abuse, which hopefully this coming summer won't be as abused. Hopefully we'll just be using this truck mostly as a tool and, you know, kind of to look good, to be completely honest with you. But I say that every winter. I always say, like, oh, I'm not going to beat on it. It'll probably still be doing burnouts and stuff. It's just the reality of it. But we definitely are going to put full exhaust on it. I know a lot of people kind of like the hood stack, but to be completely realistic, it destroys the truck. It gets soot everywhere. And I plan on going a full color this time, not just two-tone. And the last thing I want to do is completely soot up a perfectly good brand new paint job that I spent all this time to make look nice. And I'm tired of washing the truck, and I'm tired of the truck being loud. There's just a lot of reasons why we want to run a full exhaust on it. What we're going to do this time, though, is we're going to delete the muffler and do straight pipe, because every time I put the exhaust on, I hate the truck because it's so quiet. But I'm trying not to ramble on. Pretty much I'll see you guys tomorrow or whenever we get a chance to work on this again, and hopefully we can get the other side dismantled and possibly get these control arms out. I know it's going to be a little bit of a job getting those out because those bolts are seized, but I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay guys, so we're back out here. Not gonna lie, I haven't really been all that motivated to come out here because I know it's gonna be a pain to get those control arm bolts out, and it's gonna be a pain to get these tension rod bolts out. Because if I'll show you, see if you can see how massive they are, and they've never been disconnected, so it's probably gonna be seized, which sucks. So we have that to deal with, but and we got the control arm bolts that probably won't come loose either. So all this is gonna suck, pretty much is what I'm saying. So we're gonna go ahead and try to game plan how we're gonna get this bolt out and then go from there. So. Okay, so I know we're doing a terrible job at like actually filming stuff come apart. It's just that I know a lot of bolts are stuck on this side, and like I'm trying to get like a good technique of how to get them out. And I'm sure you guys don't want to see me tugging on a ratchet for 30 minutes trying to get it loose. Anyhow, so we got the lower control arm out. Thank God. It actually was not that hard. Pretty much I just got a really big ratchet and a really big pry bar, and we just kept trying to spin this nut or the bolt inside the sleeve, and it finally broke loose, and we just kept spinning it to get it kind of worked out. Took a hammer and beat it all the way through with an extension, and it's out. So now that I've got it all out, I'm kind of like looking over everything, and like, so I don't know if you guys remember, we had to press, where's it at? These have new bushings, which is nice. I'm glad that I put new bushings in this, because that's cool, you know. It's always good to have new bushings. But they were a pain in the ass. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it sucked. It really did. It sucked so bad, and everything was seized, and it took me like weeks to get these out. Now, if I would have tried harder, I probably could have got them out sooner, but that's besides the point. Now, I don't know if you guys understand how powder coat works, but in order to powder coat something, I'm almost 100% sure you have to take out all the bushings and stuff so they don't melt, because they have to get, powder coat has to be baked on at a high temperature and stuff like that. So on this control arm, that's not a big deal. Those bushings will push right out. It's not the end of the world. Now this guy has to be pressed out, and I'm sure it's not going to come out easy, and I really don't want to mess with it because the bushing is good. This bushing is not wore out. It is 100% fine. There's no reason to touch that bushing, right? So I'm like looking at this, I'm like, dude, I'm pretty much going to have to buy new control arms, hoping that they don't come with new bushings in them, just to powder coat them for no reason, pretty much. So I'm like sitting here contemplating, like, is there a way around powder coating them? Do I have to powder coat everything under this truck in order for it to look good? So I'm not gonna lie, right now I'm kind of optimistic about powder coating everything. I'm leaning more towards maybe having it all painted. I don't know, maybe that's dumb of me to say that, I don't know. Or I heard that there's like this stuff you can buy, I think it's called Steal It or something, and it's supposed to be like powder coat in a can. Now, don't hold me accountable to that. I have no idea if that's actually a thing, but I've heard about it, and it's supposed to be really durable and stuff, so maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know. I just feel like all the time we're going to have wrapped up in trying to push all these bushings out just to have a fancy little color under the truck just doesn't seem worth it to me. I don't know. It doesn't, the time and energy versus the outcome to me doesn't seem worth it. I could just be talking out my ass right now. I might go inside and completely change my mind, but that's just kind of how I'm sitting right now. I still gotta look some stuff up and kind of figure out if that's... We could still be powder coating everything. Most likely that'll happen. Like the springs and stuff, I can send those out to powder coat. The front suspension stuff, I can send those out to powder coat. Or like the front steering stuff, because none of that has like rubber bushings. Mostly it's the upper and lower control arms is what I'm worried about. And then the other thing is, I could not get this out for the life of me, so this is just going to have to stay in. Although the bushing does seem kind of wore out. I don't know if up and down play matters that much, but I am going to order new bushings here, and I have to order a new end link regardless, because I just cut it off because it's seized and ugly anyway. It's going to need a new one. And the sway bar, I can get that powder coated. A lot of stuff can still get powder coated. One thing I do really want to, like, I really want to do, which is probably gonna be really expensive, I really want to powder coat the entire rear axle. I feel like that would be super cool. Whether that's gonna happen or not, I have no idea. But maybe if somebody will cut me a deal on powder coating that whole thing, I feel like that'd be sick. I feel like that would be worth the money to me, because pulling that rear end out would be easy. Plus I gotta do some stuff back there anyways, and I want to put track bars. That's what I need to add to the list. I need to add track bars to this thing, because for some reason the axle likes to move around a lot. I don't really know why. I feel like this thing makes a decent amount of torque, but I don't know. I made a list of wants versus needs, and it looks like the needs are overweighing the wants, which is kind of sad. So we got a long winter ahead of us, boys. I know this is probably going to be a really long video. just because I've talking so much in it, but I always feel the need to elaborate and explain things, and that might be a bad characteristic, I don't know, but just kind of letting you guys know where my mind's at right now with all of it. So pretty much I think we're gonna call it a night. We're gonna pull this rotor and stuff off so that way we can separate the control arm from the knuckle and get that done. And then aside from that, we'll probably just be looking up parts, gathering costs and everything. I already have a shopping cart full on Moog's website. It looks like it's gonna be roughly $500 to get pretty much everything I need for the front end. That's bushings, inner and outer tie rods, bump stops, because all these bump stops are broke off, sway bar bushings, upper and lower ball joints. And a center link and an idler arm. So I mean, I feel like that's a pretty fair amount of stuff for $500. Plus it's Moog, so you know it's good. Although I've heard mixed things about that. So I'm gonna stop rambling on. I'm gonna tear this off real quick, and then it'll probably just jump right into tomorrow, and we'll be actually filming getting that side off over there. So yeah. All right, so I know I just talked to you guys for like 10 minutes telling you about like the whole powder coat dilemma. I have decided we are going to use steel it, but the steel gray color, because they only have black and gray, which kind of sucks. But the steel gray looks really well. It will stand out because it'll be a light color. It'll look really good. And I honestly don't really want like a big pop color. Like I don't really, like if I was going to get a color, I did want it to be kind of flaky and like good looking, but in the same sense, this isn't a 4-linked coil over freaking lifted truck that you're going to see the suspension all day long. Realistically, I just want it to look clean. I don't want it to look like this rusty piece of junk. I want you to be able to look under this truck and be like, wow, this has had some time put into it for sure. It's clean. It's not a rusty pile of shit. That's mostly what I'm going for, right? So the cool thing with the steel is, means I can do the rear axle, but the downside is, we'll have to have some of this stuff sandblasted for sure. But they were saying that if you take like a 32 grit DA pad and just grind everything down to bare metal and make sure it's nice and smooth, that it'll adhere to that fine. So that's kind of normal. Some of the stuff we might actually still have powder coated, but as far as like the control arms and stuff, we're just going to use that steel it stuff. So maybe we'll do the control arms in like the steel gray color, and do like the steering components in like a different color and the springs in a different color. Maybe that's what we'll do. That's a good idea. I like that. I like that idea. So that could change. We still might use the steel it stuff on the rest, but yeah. So we won't, if we do use the steel it on all the suspension, we'll mix it up between the black and the gray, so you don't look under this truck and it just looks like it was rattle canned. But yeah, so I am gonna go inside now, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow when we start on the other side. So okay guys, so I know I said I would film taking apart the other side, but honestly I feel like it'd be this video is already so long anyways, and I don't think you guys need to see me taking apart a suspension. So I'll just kind of like briefly go over it. So if you are going to be pulling apart your suspension, the lesson I learned is to take apart or loosen all the bolts first, because what happens is, like, you take off the upper control arm, right? And then the knuckle's just sitting here, and then when you try to unbolt the lower control arm or the lower ball joint, you got the knuckle flopping around, you can't get as much leverage and stuff. So break everything loose first and then pull everything off, so that way you don't have to worry about, you know, getting stuff loose with like shit halfway hanging off and all that. But yeah, so far we just got to take all this apart, which that should be pretty easy. It's actually 70 degrees, well 69 degrees today in Ohio, which is insane because it's literally January, and that's unheard of for Ohio. Usually it's like dead nuts cold right now. But it's really raining out. Like it's been raining all day, and the last couple days, and the moisture is terrible. Like you can see all the dew on everything, like the wheels. And I hate working in the garage when it's like that. I absolutely hate it because everything feels wet. Like everything you touch feels wet because of the moisture in the air. So I really don't want to work on this thing today for that exact reason. I know I'm a wimp, but that is the one thing. Like, I'll work out here in the freezing cold, I'll work out here in 100-degree weather, but when it is damp in here, I cannot stand it. I just hate the feeling. I hate the feeling of like wetness, like everywhere. Everything is wet. Like, I just can't do it. So with that being said, that's gonna wrap up this video, guys. But with that being said, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.